Well, your fairy is hanging in there. Did you see that in a magazine, or you just thought about it?
Thought about it.
You're weird.
Hi everybody, it's Terry Marshall and I am here in our home getting ready to decorate our Christmas tree. Now everybody does it a little bit differently. I'm going to show you the way I'm doing this one this year, and here is my inspiration piece. Now some people don't like fairies, they have weird faces, and this one happens to have a really sweet face. And when I saw it, I thought this is the one that's going to go on my tree this year. In fact, I've got two. So let's get started. I'm going to show you the steps to make this a beautiful fairyland tree. Okay, we have the tree up. Number one, you want to check the stand just to make sure that everything's secure and it's not going to be a problem structurally. You're going to have that tree secure. Number two, you want to fluff the tree out. Get those branches so that they're filling in all the holes. This, of course, is on an artificial tree. You would do some different things on a real tree. And then number three, lighting, so important. This one's already pre-lit. For my theme though, since I've got a fairy theme, I'm going to add some lighting down the center of the tree just for that added sparkle and a little bit of flickering, kind of fairy-like for the tree itself. So let's get started. So we've got our twinkle lights on, and they're going to add just the right effect that I want. All right, you're probably wondering, why does she have a tree limb in her hands, and what is she going to do with that? What? I'm going to put this in our tree. Will it work? I don't know. Have I ever done this before? No. So my idea is to put this in the Christmas tree. Let's see if it's going to work. I hope it does. So I'm just zip tying the branch onto the center of the stalk, and also the some of the branches here, just to kind of give it some stability. I hope it doesn't fall. You think it's gonna fall? Ta-da! It worked! Oh, so excited! Now we got to get this fairy on top of her branch. Stay right there, okay? Don't move. Next, we are going to add some ribbon, and I'm using tonight a 1.5 and a 2.5 that are complementary to each other. We're going to put two together, and I'm going to have sort of a tail on it, and then I'm going to use a zip tie, and we're going to just start adding some of this ribbon. You be still. All right, we're going to make a really big loop. Now you want to create sort of a zigzag effect, so we're going to come over here and then over here. We're putting the ribbon on because we want to make sure that when we place on the ornaments, we've got a good placement. So ribbon going next is actually the best thing to do. So I've just woven it through the tree, and at the very bottom, I'm going to take it and just cut a nice tail, and we're going to roll these tails up. Just like that, and let them just hang down like that. Beautiful. Okay, here's a little tip. If you will think about what your line of vision is. So obviously the back of the tree is against the wall. It's not that important that it's heavily decorated, but when you come in from this doorway here in my room, you can see the back of the tree here. So I want to make sure to add some ribbon elements and ornaments in the back as well. At this point, I've run the loops through the tree in a diagonal pattern covering all parts of the tree, except obviously the one that doesn't show in the very back corner. Now I'm going to take some 2.5 inch ribbon and make a few bow attachments, and we're just going to loop them up. I'm just going to take maybe 4 loops. And I'm going to zip tie right here at that juncture. All right, if you want to change up the way your tails look, go ahead and just cut it at a diagonal and then take your scissors and cut in some strips. And all that does is just give you something a little different as far as the texture. It's a little bit unexpected. It's going to give the end of your ribbon just a little different look. That is so fun.
It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes. I am getting so hot, I'm gonna take my clothes off.
I'm going to open the door. The next step for me is I'm going to add, whoa, that was pretty cool. Did you see that? Whoa. I'm going to add the ornaments and just an assortment in my color palette. And I usually start with the bigger ones, go down lower, and then progressively get smaller as you go up to the top. That is a rule, but I break it all the time. So let's just fill in some of the holes in the tree with some ornaments. When we place the ornaments on the tree, on most of the ones that I put on, I prefer that there not be any drop in the ornament from where the branch is and where the ornament starts. So I'm going to take in this case it's a little ribbon type string, and I'm going to wind it around the branch counterclockwise. When they come off, they just go the opposite direction. You can use floral wire or whatever you want to. But that way the branch and the ornament are right next to each other. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, another little tip for you is when you're decorating the tree, go a little bit interior with your ornaments so they're more inside toward the trunk of the tree. And sometimes you can just wedge it in there. You don't even have to wire it. So just push those in. So you add a little bit of dimension and depth in your tree, and also it hides the trunk if you need that. Okay, big ones go down low.
Well, your fairy is hanging in there. Did you see that in a magazine, or you just thought about it?
Just thought about it.
You're weird.
All right, the next step for me is to fill in with some picks, maybe some branches, these are snow picks. I've got glitter bows, all kind of other things. That just kind of gives some filler for the places in the tree that are maybe a little bit void of something pretty and sparkly. So let's get that going. Now, just like you put the cherry on top of a sundae or frosting on top of a cake, you have to do an amazing tree topper. So that's what's next. This is almost the last step, although I've got a couple of surprises in my back pocket. Well, I don't have a back pocket, but anyway, we're gonna do the topper now. Let's get this looking good. Gonna put some picks in there. Be still, don't fall. Almost as bad as Christmas lights. This vine.
What is that?
It's a vine. I'm gonna secure her with it. All right, next I'm going to add some lighting to the branch that the fairy is sitting on. Now, for demonstration purposes only, I'm using what I have on hand, which is just these little battery lights. What I'm going to prefer to use are just some of those little light fairy lights, and I'll have to get those and add them on. But these are battery operated. They come on with a timer, and so they'll come on and stay on for 6 hours and then shut off and then come back on the next day. So I'm just going to add these on the branch, and then I'm going to tie the battery pack with a zip tie. Well, as it turns out, I didn't need a zip tie after all. I'm just going to put the battery pack down into the tree, and then I can pull it out when I need to change it, okay? Okay, sometimes when you're a professional tree designer and decorator, you have to call in reinforcements.
Or your husband.
Or in my case, my husband. And now, to finish out my design, I had to get him involved to hang the fairy.
The fairy. We're going to screw the fairy
into
the ceiling.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
All right, go ahead.
You ready?
I'm watching you. She's gonna be flying through the sky. so much for joining me. Decorating this tree was so much fun. And the fairy tree, just like I dreamed it, it was all that and more. Follow us on Instagram. Make sure you follow us on Facebook. And if you hadn't subscribed to our channel, please do that. And we'll be back next week with another installment. So we'll see you then.